We had a tea party today. There's a massive tea party going on in Atlanta. Herman Cain is in Las Vegas. He is so much more impressive than I am. Smarter too. But I mean, he is incredible. At first, I was a little bit down on the tea parties. And I'll tell you why. Because I thought, you know what? It's easy to go out there and complain about a situation. It's another thing to come up with a solution. You can say you're mad. Tell people how you're going to solve the problem, and that's more impressive to me. Well, at least these people are mad, and that needs to be celebrated. Now, the people in this room, you have the solution. So not only are you mad, but you know what to do about it. Now, the time, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but you know, maybe there's a TV camera, maybe somebody will see this that's not in this room, that didn't take the trouble to come down here. The time for sitting on the sidelines is gone. You have seen what has happened to our country because of our tax code. The Democrats in Washington, if there's Democrats in this room, I'm sorry, but you know, principally, we've made our mistakes, the Republicans have. They are proposing more and more and more and more taxes. In Washington, D.C., they want to tax you if you have a street light usage. Everywhere you look, more and more taxes. These politicians, there is no end to their hunger for your money. There is no end to it. You cannot sit out the 2010 election, my friends. You can't. If you're a taxpayer, you're going to be in the minority in 2010. You will be in the minority. But I want to remind you of something. This is where I take a swipe at Rush Limbaugh, the Godfather. Hey, God bless him. If it wasn't for him, I'd be practicing law. But you ask him about the FairTax, and he says, it's a great idea, but it'll never happen. Great idea, but it'll never happen. Now, in 1776, some Americans embarked on a great idea. And it took them 7 years to bring it to realization. And that great idea was independence in Great Britain. Now, what you may not know is during those 7 years, the majority of the colonists, what did they say about independence from Great Britain? What did they say? They said, it's a great idea, but it's never going to happen. The exact same thing we hear from some people, some opinion leaders in this country now. What I'm telling you here is, you're in the minority. If you support the FairTax, you're in the minority. And the majority is out there saying, great idea, but it is never going to happen. Now, these people who were fighting the Revolutionary War, they marched barefoot across frozen ground between New York and Philadelphia to fight for independence. They wrapped articles of clothing and rags around their feet to protect themselves from the frozen ground. They left trails of blood along these frozen pathways and roadways. Made it easy to follow. Easy to follow them. They really sacrificed. They died, they froze to death, they starved to death. All the while, the majority of people were saying, it's a great idea, but it's never going to happen. You don't have to walk barefooted across frozen ground. You don't have to leave a trail of blood. All you need to do is make your intentions known with no doubt. You are going to vote next year. That is your bloody trail, your ballot. don't let any congressman or any senator doubt for a minute. Don't ever let them look at you and say, this person isn't going to vote. I don't need to listen to them. And I'm not, be polite, be rude, but as Billy Mays says, I don't shout, I project. So project. And make sure these people know that you are registered, you know where your precinct is. They better get on board with the emancipation of the American taxpayer, or you're going to get on board with the congressional emancipation movement. You are going to free the congressman. Just one thing about the fair tax. And John Linder and I have talked about this a number of times. You know how he came to write the book, don't you? My wife, the Queen, is back here in the green room, as I said, grilling my Huckabee. Anything but come out here and listen to her husband talk. I've been doing talk radio for 40 years. I've known him or her for all 40, and she's never listened to one show. Which is probably why the marriage has lasted. You know me. I mean, okay, you're sitting out there, okay, he's a stud. But would I want to be married to that guy? God, no. Boy, did I ever lose my train of thought. But John Linder and his wife and Donna and I were out having dinner one night, and there's John Linder and I. We start talking about the fair tax. Donna's getting irritated. Lynn's getting irritated. Lynn says, why don't you two just write a book and shut up about this thing? Linder looks at me and says, let's do it. Easy for him to say. So we wrote the book.
So now you're doing both.
Let me tell you the greatest mistake I ever made in my life. I talked about it on the book. I'm writing this book, the fair tax book. People call up and said, you're just pushing this fair tax because you're going to make all that money off the book. You're just being... So boy, did me and my big mouth. Tell you what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to donate I'm not trying to make money. I'll donate every penny of royalties I get from this fair tax book to charity. Every penny. Well, that silenced the critics. Then the book comes out and it debuts #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And then George Will tells John Linder, people buy books on taxes by the dozens. What in the hell have you two unleashed here? Then the first royalty check comes in. Do you have any idea what a royalty check is like on a New York Times #1 bestseller? A lot of zeros. And I only got half of it. I think my donations to charity that year were about $600,000. Although the plot, that is the dumbest thing I ever did in my life. Somebody's got to say it, Kelly, I kept that money. That's where I got this great Steinmart. Steinmart. The shoes are pennies. I'll tell you something, you can put me on a lie detector. I swear to God this is true. For years I thought they sold beer steins at Steinmart. And I'm driving out of Atlanta. There's a Steinmart, there's another Steinmart. My God, that many people in this town collect beer steins?